Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to the Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Today, our guest is Devon Hawkins. Let us know, how are you, Devon Hawkins?
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Great. So let us know where you live and what you do.
So I live in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm currently building a food tech startup. We're producing algae-based food products here in Calgary and selling all across Western Canada.
Great. So what inspired you to start this business?
My co-founder and I both shared a pretty similar passion in food and sustainability. And we were doing this program back at Queen's back in 2019 that allowed us essentially just a financially and a stress-free way to get into entrepreneurship. They provided some funding, some coaching opportunities, et cetera. And our task was just to design a business over that summer back in 2019 and see where we could take it. Like I said, both were pretty passionate about food and sustainability. Did a bunch of research, found out that algae was this food of the future, and no one was really doing anything from a food standpoint. No one was doing anything from a consumer standpoint, and we wanted to answer the question as to why that was happening. One thing led to another. We started developing some algae-based foods. We realized that there was a lot of market potential, and eventually, based off of consumer demands and customer feedback, we shifted to a bar production. So we started out producing a bunch of different things, realized pretty quickly that the market was not yet ready for more complicated algae-based food products. And in the fall of 2019, we produced our first very, very rudimentary energy bar made with algae. And that's the journey since then has been predominantly algae-based energy bars.
All right. So have you identified any gaps in the market that you're feeling?
The whole market, the whole algae-based market is a gap in itself. There's not really anyone doing anything from a consumer standpoint. There are companies doing things in energy production, in algae carbon capture, in agriculture, but the consumer product market is quite juvenile. That could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It could mean that, maybe we're early, maybe we're too early, maybe we're on the wrong foot, but it's also too important. It's important to note as well that the algae market isn't just an algae market. We're also competing in the food market. So for us, within the energy bar space, not only are we producing an algae-based product, but we also recognize an opportunity within the market to produce a whole food, clean, simple ingredient energy bar that had incredible nutritional value for the size and the flavor that it had. So we're kind of tapping into two different market opportunities. One, in the whole food trend, and two, in the algae trend. I think you muted yourself.
Oh, sorry. So
there we go.
What is the biggest challenge you are facing at this time, or maybe you have faced in some other phase?
Just challenges in terms of like taking the company forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, challenges in terms of kind of moving on to the next step. Food in Canada, I think food globally is quite challenging. And when I say food, I mean consumer packaged goods. The grocery industry in Canada is extremely competitive, very oversaturated, and most of the power sits with the grocery stores and not with the food producers and the food manufacturers and creators, et cetera. So companies like us and companies that, create brands and sell them within grocery stores. So that has been a big challenge as well. Trying to make enough money to kind of build the company consistently. So for anyone that wants to get into the food industry, that's something to pay attention to. Additionally, algae, what we learned pretty quickly on is that algae is it's a novel ingredient. And for those that care, they really care. But for the vast majority of the population, algae it's a benefit, not a feature. So we did have to change our packaging quite extensively to, be more conducive to what the market wanted. But in all honesty, it's all a challenge. At no point has there been an easy solution. We thought that, and maybe we were naive, but when we first started, we thought that we'd get the product off the ground, we'd get it selling, and things would be relatively smooth. That has not been the case. It's been just trying to constantly figure out how to sell the product better, how to get it into grocery stores better, how to make the margins better, how to educate customers on the benefits of algae better, customers on the benefits of our own company better. So it's
So
yeah, it's been tough.
all right. So, maybe if you can let us know in this podcast as well, like I was able to see that probably let us know a little bit more about your bar, where I was able to see like your bar is using sunflower seeds, butter, some dates, and some other elements as well. So, if you can let us know a little bit about the benefits of these things, then I think it will be good.
About just like the, what it's made out of, why it's made, etc.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like most date bars are pretty common these days. It's a good source of energy. It's a good source of sugar, of fiber. Sugar is sugar. I mean, people will talk about how one product might not have any added sugar and one product might not have, or might just, have added sugar. Sugar in the body is still sugar. I mean,
Yeah.
fructose and glucose get, they go into the body in the same way, and they get, the body handles them differently, but sugar is still sugar. So, and the reason I mention that is because we don't actually add any sugar to our bars, but they are still relatively high in sugar, and that's been a challenge for some people. I mean, the keto trend seems to be diminishing, but it's still there. But we chose dates because it allows everything to stick together. Algae is quite dry; it's quite challenging to work with. Dates are sticky, and they taste good, so it's a really good base for the bar. And they also store really well. So our products have a shelf life of a year. They don't need to be refrigerated. And everything that goes into the bars anyways is a dry good. So it just makes it very, very easy to work with. And then we had specific nutrition requirements that we wanted to hit. So we added ingredients that we enjoyed. Myself and my co-founder, say cacao nibs in the chocolate bar. We both really enjoyed cacao nibs, so we chose to add it into the bar. And the good thing is that it jumped the iron up considerably. So yeah, we chose to start with a base that was dates for the obvious reasons of stickiness, flavor, and a good sugar back, and then chose to add things to hit nutrition requirements and then also flavor requirements. But it was definitely a work in progress. It took a couple of years and many, many, many different iterations.
So let us know a little bit about the marketing structure, how you're marketing the product.
Marketing for us has been a bit of a challenge. I think just a lot of consumer packaged goods companies will have a decent amount of funding behind them. We do not. We're still very bootstrapped. So we could have gone the advertising methods. We could have been Facebook, Google, on the display network, on the search network, advertising as much as possible, but we just didn't really find the return to be that great. So we've done a lot of guerrilla marketing. We talk a lot about this on our website and on our social channels. We'll do guerrilla samplings deep in the mountains, where the consumers typically are, outside of stores, within stores, and those have been very successful. We found that building, and then a ton of events as well. We do a lot of cycling, triathlon, running events, etc., where we give out the product, and we also get involved ourselves, because I think it makes more sense to see the founders of the company using the product in an environment that is conducive to the product, as opposed to just acting as a spokesperson without any merit. But yeah, we found that the best marketing methods for us have been word of mouth and getting people to try the product, getting people to tell their friends about the product. But like everything, people need constant reminders. So it needs to be multifaceted. We need in person, we need word of mouth, and then we need to hit them home with email. So our funnel it's good. It's not great. It's in constant need of improvement, I think, like a lot of funnels. But we found that getting people into the funnel through word of mouth and then moving them down the funnel through email has been quite good. Email and social.
All right. So what are your growth expansion plans in maybe next 3 to 6 months?
Our expansion plan.
Yeah.
That one's tough. For a long time, we had thought, okay, let's flesh out Canada before we move to the States. We're still unsure about what the next step is. As a Canadian company, getting into the States it's expensive. So we really need to think hard about, the benefits and the drawbacks of that decision. We also need to think about the benefits and the drawbacks of going to Ontario. For us, it's actually cheaper to ship into the States than it is to ship to Ontario. So there's a lot of benefits to go to the States as well. But I do think, like, if in an ideal world, we'd be launching in the Pacific Northwest and we'd be moving down the Pacific Northwest of the States. That being said, we don't really live in an ideal world. So we might be in Ontario, we might be in Quebec. But for now, our goal is just to continue to flesh out the Western Canada market and just continue to gain traction here and build a brand among the consumers in Western Canada.
All right. So, would you let me know, like, what is the ratio of retail and online sales?
Retail, I think for most consumer packaged goods companies, it's pretty consistent, especially in Canada. In the States is a little bit more. I think e-commerce in the States is definitely, I'm not going to say easier, but it's more common. The infrastructure set up in the States
Mm.
for e-commerce is just far better. In Canada, for us, it's probably around 70-30 from retail to e-commerce. So, and I think that's probably pretty consistent for most Canadian consumer packaged goods brands.
All right, makes sense. So that is awesome. So Devon, let us know what would be your biggest piece of advice for the ones who are starting business, or maybe they are already in the business and thinking about something bigger, or maybe who are thinking about some expansion plans. So what would you say?
Yeah, I think that I constantly contradict my own advice. When I first started, I was super ambitious, and then I became a little pessimistic, and now I think both pessimistic and optimistic at the same time. More, I guess, neutral. It depends on where we want to go, what we want to do. I think if you're planning on building a consumer food brand, you need to be very cautious. I've met with a couple consumer food entrepreneurs recently, and they get really gung ho and really excited because they get their product into 5 to 10 different grocery stores relatively quickly, and
Mhm.
then they take a step back and they go, oh, wait, I actually need to be making money, and they don't really understand the cost structure. So, I mean, the most important
Mhm.
piece of advice for consumer package entrepreneurs is just build your cost structure right from the start. That was something that we did that was very valuable. Before we even got our product on a grocery store shelf, we went, okay, in 10 years, what are the costs that are going to be involved in building this product? So from administrative costs to lawyer fees to interest for loans to our own salaries to other people's salaries, everything, marketing expenses. We built this all into a big cost list and built the margins for the product based off of that. So for anyone wanting to build a consumer packaged goods company, start with every single possible cost that could ever be incurred and build your margins based off of that. And then spend a lot of time learning your customers. I think that that is also extremely important, but don't get caught up in things. If you go out and you talk to 5 different customers and 3 of them say one thing and 2 of them say one thing, go with the ones that feel most right. So I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs as well get really caught up over how people just keep telling them, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. It's better to only listen to people that have merit, that whose advice has actual merit, but spend a lot of time getting to know your customers and getting to know your channels of distribution. And then lastly, just, I don't know, go for it. Most people, like, Canada is not a very entrepreneurial country, which is maybe some of where my pessimism comes from these days. And we need more entrepreneurs. So if you have an idea, even if it seems daunting, the first step is always the hardest, and that is getting started. So just go for it.
All right, that's a beautiful advice, I believe. And yes, everybody will have to be cautious that this is not a rule that you can apply on in the business, that three guys are saying one thing and two are saying one thing, so it means three are right. There's always a possibility that all of them are wrong.
Yeah,
So yeah,
exactly.
that's great.
And the fun
So
thing is that,
Devon,
sorry, the fun thing is that in business, there's a proven track record of one thing that can work. But to be honest, like, there's no 100-step plan or 10-step plan. A lot of people think if you do step 1 and step 2 and step 3, step 4 will be pretty obvious, but it's not like that. If if something works for another brand, it might definitely not work for yours, or it might work for yours. So there's
yeah.
yeah, you kind of need to figure out your own way.
Yeah, exactly. You're true. Okay, so Devin, let the viewers know how they can reach you. Please share your website and your social media handles wherever people can reach you.
Yeah, you can follow me on LinkedIn, just Devon Hawkins, DevonHawkins. You can, yeah, go order an impact bar, test it out, algifoods.com. That's ALGI, and then foods.com. And then, yeah, if you want to follow us on social, same thing, Algae Foods. And then if you want to follow me personally on social, I am a photographer and videographer as my other job. So I do a lot of content creation, and that Instagram is just at the life of Dev. So lots of social channels, not much of a Twitter, now X person, but LinkedIn, website, and Instagram is always good.
All right. So thank you, Devon. Thanks for appearing today. It was really pleasure for me. to interview you today. I learned a lot of things, and I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Well,
Bye.
have a good one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.